On this episode of Warbird Radio Presents, we team up with the Texas Flying Legends Museum and surprise two brothers with the flight of a lifetime. Stay tuned. Warbird Radio Presents. The Stachler brothers story starts now. Over 70 years ago, Herb and Walt Stachler went off to fight in World War II. Herb was a P-47 pilot and Walt was a B-25 tail gunner. Herb flew 102 combat missions and Walt flew only 2, bailing out over China and narrowly surviving. In April of 2012, during the 70th Doolittle Tokyo Raiders reunion, we teamed up with the Texas Flying Legends Museum out of Houston, Texas, to surprise both brothers with a flight they'll never forget. Here now is Herb and Walt's story. Now, you flew 102 combat missions, if I remember correctly, in P-47s.
102, right? Yeah. And the Thunderbolt.
I think what you'd be what they call today kind of a badass, wouldn't you?
I guess you could call that.
And your brother over here, Walter, you were in B-25s.
B-25, yes.
Did you see one out there that might have looked like yours?
Yeah, tail gunner on B-25s.
And what do you remember about training up for this? Because you flew over in China.
Well, yeah, we got credit for 2 missions over the hump. Then I only flew 2 combat missions.
In the B-25 as a tail gunner.
Shot down.
Now, you had kind of an interesting experience when you were shot down over there. Would you tell us about that?
Well, we thank God that we was able to make it out of French Indochina before the pilot finally told us to hit the silk. So that's the only thing we can be thankful for, because the Japanese weren't taking prisoners at that time.
Now, how old were you when you bailed out of that airplane?
Oh, must have been about 19 or 20.
Just a young buck.
Yeah, I won't forget.
You know, Herb shared a story with me, and I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, but you had a crew member on that flight that wasn't so lucky.
Right.
He didn't quite make it out. Tell us about that, because it plays into what you did after that mission.
I was the first one to bail out because I was off of intercom. And then, of course, I woke up a week later in the hospital. I got knocked unconscious when I hit the ground. And then that's when I heard that Febo got killed on a bailout. He must have pulled his ripcord the minute he thought he was going through the hatch. And when the pilot, Doolittle, got ready to bail out, so I'm flopping. So the only one thing left for him to do, mercy killing, cut him loose, rather than going down with the aircraft.
So he's laying there underneath the aircraft, and I'm guessing the risers from his parachute were tangled around the hatch or around the bomb bay.
He must have pulled a ripcord the minute he thought he was going through the hatch.
So he's just back there hanging on.
Yeah. So when pilot Doolittle got ready to bail out, he saw him, and rather than have him go down with the aircraft, he took his knife out and cut him loose.
Now, you don't remember anything from that point forward. I mean, after you bailed out, it's kind of all a blur, I'm guessing.
Well, I woke up a week later in the hospital.
Yeah. When was the next time you saw Herbie here?
I forget when I saw Herb last.
Well, we got back home there together.
Oh, yeah, when we got back home.
My other brother, too, he was was in on 5 invasions and down near Italy area. Mm-hmm. And so here was, I don't know what made it so good, but all 3 of us met at one time back home after I come home. And he got hurt, too, in the service. And, of course, Walter got hurt. And I'm the only one that didn't get hurt. Just my feelings, because I didn't get anything.
That's lucky Herbie, I guess, huh? What do you remember about that time period when you think back on it, and we look back on that time period today? You guys we call you the greatest generation. I mean, you guys saved the world back then. What do you want folks to know who are hearing this today about what you did back then?
Well, I don't feel like I did any more than any other guy in the service. We just all had our jobs, and I originally listed as a motorcycle repairman because I was riding motorcycle then, but ended up a tail gunner on B-25s.
Yeah, motorcycle repairman. Then after you bailed out and you had this parachute problem, they put you to work packing parachutes. Is that right?
Yeah, after I was in the hospital 65 days, and rather than send me home, they sent me down to the parachute department, packing parachutes. When I saw how simple they are to pack, I feel they have to open if you got a little bit of altitude. I'd have much more faith if I ever use another one.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting how they put you in that position to go out there and actually start packing parachutes while your brother was still over there, hopefully not using one. Herb, you had we've talked about this in the past, but you had a pretty harrowing experience when you got shot up that one time in the...
Well, that was about 5 or 6 days after D-Day, when I was flying number 4, in a formation, and sitting there enjoying the beautiful scenery down below where they were bringing in more troops and heavy equipment. And so this guy comes in out of the clouds, and I was sitting there fat and happy, the FW-190, and he hit me. Well, I didn't know first what was going on because I heard a cracking, and I thought, what the hell are they shooting at me for down there? But here, my element leader yelled at me. He says, Herbie, there's a Jerry on your tail. And so I started losing oil pressure, getting it over the windshield, and then here I saw fluid coming up through the floor, and I took my gloves off, and I first thought it was gas, but it was hydraulic fluid. And so I knew that with my hydraulics going down and no oil pressure, I'd never make it back to England because we had about 85 miles of water. So just luckily, I told my element leader then, I said, hey, Ozzy, I happened to spot an airfield in there that the engineers had built, which was a godsend. I thank God to this day that was there. And I said, I think I'm going to have to try to make it in there because I didn't want to jump out of my airplane because I liked my airplane. It was a good airplane.
You had little Herbie on the side of it. It was your nose art. We've all seen it.
And so I knew I'd have to come in pretty hot because I had no flaps or brakes, and I wasn't scared a bit all that time. And then when they taught us you got to land on that first inch of the runway, well, I hit the first part of it, and I was doing probably about 175 or more. And but I got stopped at the other end. I wasn't scared, but when I got out of it and saw more damage on my aircraft with the wings and up the engine, I started shaking. I couldn't stop shaking.
You still have a piece of that flak today?
I still have some of the shrapnel that flew back in. Luckily, it didn't explode when it come through the side of the cockpit, because if that had happened, I wouldn't even be here.
Yeah.
And so I was very fortunate there. I didn't get hurt. But it did damage then with hydraulics and oil system.
Right.
And so outside of that, though, the airplane, it flew good.
I'd say you're both pretty lucky. What did you know about each other when you were at war? I mean, clearly you didn't have Skype, you didn't have a cell phone that you could pick up and call each other on. What did you know about each other?
Well, really, we didn't have much contact with each other because he was over in Europe and I was in China.
I mean, you really didn't know if he was alive or if he was dead or anything at that point.
At the time, no. Never knew what was happening to him till heard about it later.
Well, before that time, Walter was going to try to get into the Air Corps too, so he was at a base there. Where was that?
Rock Hill?
Rock Hill, yeah. And so I was already an officer and I was flying, and I flew over there, and buzzed him at the air base he was in, and then later I went there and they had me get up on the stage and talk to all these guys about how good it was to fly a Thunderbolt.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yes. But a lot of guys really got shafted in the Air Force. Mm-hmm. Now, out of my class of 65, there's only about 5 of us had prior military experience. I already went through armor school and gunnery school. Mm-hmm. But the rest of them with no experience, they stuck them in the infantry.
Did they?
And I saw more than one guy crying. Mm-hmm. But I was lucky. I had two tech schools to my credit. And after 18 months, I got my first furlough to come home. Then I went over to China.
Yeah. And what was that like over there in China during the war?
Well, we was right near a little town with nothing there. Just nothing but rice paddies that's around us. Otherwise, there was no activity in that little town called Yangai. So all we do is, there was one restaurant American approved of we could eat down there once in a while. So that was a good blessing.
Yeah, I guess so. Herb, what did you know about your brother during the war? I mean, clearly you said you went and saw him, but...
I got letters from my mom then, telling about, first she got a letter that he was missing in action, but then she later got another letter that he was okay. Because they've sent letters out pretty fast, I guess, when they think you're missing in action, because they don't know what really happened.
A lot of sleepless nights at that point.
I was always blessed, though, to go to Europe area, because they had white women over there. And so we had more fun than what these guys did.
Not as much fun over there with you.
No, I went over clean, I come home clean.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that. It's not, I mean, clearly you go over there and you're doing a job, you're flying a lot of dangerous missions, but you do have to unwind a little bit. There comes a time when it might be necessary to, in Herb's case, have a drink of wine at Thanksgiving. Maybe.
Well, yeah, that was a particular time when we were over in France, and there was a wine cellar right near us there, and so we started going down there, bringing up a lot of the wine, and there were about 6 of us pilots there. We were supposed to decorate our room, where we were going to eat, and one of the guys said, "Well, we got candles here. What are we going to do with them?" And one of them said, "Well, let's just start drinking wine, and we'll stick a candle in every bottle when we finish it." And we started doing that, and after a while, when it was time to eat, I had to say the Thanksgiving prayer. And so when I was saying, "Almighty God, we thank you for everything and so forth," and all of us, I slid under the table, and I didn't get any turkey.
You don't remember anything else, do you?
No.
Well, when we came back from a mission, we would get a shot of whiskey. But so they still owe me a shot.
Still do, because you didn't get that last one.
I never got the second shot.
What do you think of your brother here, Herb?
Well, he's a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
Pretty proud of him.
Yeah. Distinguished Flying Cross.
Yeah.
Quite a few missions under his belt,
right.
too.
He got, I don't know how many air medals and DFCs. The only thing I got was a Purple Heart.
What do you think of your brother, Herb?
Well, I think he did a heck of a job. He was very disturbed, though, when the Air Corps canceled out a big batch of guys that were going to be trained. But see, the war over in Europe didn't last as long, and also with the Japanese even. And so they were training pilots just right, trying to get more of them, because they needed plenty of bodies.
We're here at the Doolittle Raiders reunion. We got all the B-25s out there, and I wanted to get your take on this. Everybody talks about how heroic the Chinese were in saving the Raiders, and how the Chinese really look up to the Raiders. They're national heroes over there. What was your reception like when you were over there in China?
I had no problem with the Chinese. We was by a little village, and we sort of lived normal.
Yeah.
And never caused us any problem. The only thing we did have to do, they used to have rolling guards. We had these big revetments, and some of the stuff was missing out of the planes. So I was fortunate when they started that. I just had gotten out of the hospital, but they had started sleeping in the aircraft at night because the Chinese were stealing transmitters or anything that was loose. But because you realize those people were really hard up, so you can understand why they would try to steal something.
Yeah. Well, and Herb, you didn't really have that problem where you were at, except people were trying to come by and shoot at you, mainly the Germans at that point.
Yeah, but after every so many missions, we would get what they call R&R. Mm-hmm. And you're supposed to rest and recuperate. But we thought that meant run around, raise hell.
Yeah.
So we were about as tired when we come back as when we left.
Well, you had a lot of fun and games over there, but there is that one mission, and the Distinguished Flying Cross is not awarded to someone unless they really deserve it. Can you tell us about that mission?
Well, that was a mission that we had to hit this ammunition dump, and it was well guarded. And my other buddy from Ohio, we flew together over it, and we had our bombs, and we hit it real good. And there was, of course, when those bombs go off, you felt like your whole airplane was battered up underneath. And there was a lot of fire coming up because they had an awful lot of guns around. They wanted to guard their ammunition dumps, yeah. And so I didn't give any thought to it at all. And here, Cressada later, he said, "Well, we're going to give the Distinguished Flying Cross to you guys that flew that particular mission because it was so important. It knocked them out of a lot of fuel they needed."
I want to bring a friend of mine over here who is Mr. Warren Peach, and he's walking over right now, and Warren is with the Texas Flying Legends Museum. He's down in Houston, Texas. And Warren, of course, is got a B-25 out here. And if we twist his arm, maybe he'll show it to you. But come on over here, Warren. Have a seat. Have a seat down here. And well, this is Walter, and this is Herb.
Good.
Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Herb flew P-47s, and of course Walter was a gunner on
B-25.
on B-25s.
Tail gun or?
Tail gunner.
Yeah. Oof.
Only lasted 2 missions.
Did you get shot down?
All our missions was, they call it glip bombing. Come in low and pilot would actually drop the bombs. And so all they had to do was shoot straight up. And the first mission, we got shot up pretty bad. Had to make emergency landing at Kunming. They had a longer runway because our hydraulic system was out, our electrical system was out, and they had to use an emergency brake. And the second mission, we had too many holes. We had to bail out.
So you got shot down on the second mission from ground fire because you were so close to the ground bombing.
Well, they couldn't miss you coming in low and shoot straight up. You flew right through it.
So did you end up being a prisoner of war then?
No. That's one thing we have to thank the good Lord. We got out of French Indochina before we finally bailed out.
Oh, wow.
And it hit the silk.
And he lost a good friend in there when he was bailing out, of course. And he was telling us this earlier, Warren. The guy just couldn't get out. He got tangled up in there, and so the pilot had to cut him free so he didn't go down with the plane.
Yeah, one man got hung up on the plane.
Jeez.
He must have pulled his ripcord as soon as he thought he was dropping out. And the pilot had to cut him loose. Mercy killing.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Would you... we'd really love to show you the airplane and get you up inside. Our B-25 is very accurate. All the guns function. All the gun sights work and everything. We'd like to have you.
I had twin 50s in the tail.
Yeah. What would you think about going out and flying in it today? You ought to ride in it?
Well, I wouldn't be afraid.
Well, if we'd sure like to take you up if you're interested in going and have your brother escort you.
Oh man, this is tremendous.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't expect it.
No, well, we know you wouldn't expect it, and that's part of the pleasure of doing this. You did things for me before I was around, and I appreciate it very much. And we'd sure like to, if you think it'd be enjoyable to you, we'd sure like to get you up in the airplane and let you have a ride in the B-25. And
if you're willing to give us a chance, we sure won't turn it down.
I'd be tickled to death here because I've never flown in a 25, so this would be a first time. That'd be a real privilege.
Yeah, and that's.
I think they're going to go.
I think so too. So we've got everybody lined up, and we're going to do a photo mission tonight. And if you guys are willing to hang around the airport here for another hour and a half or so before we get airborne, and we'll go out and fly for about 45 minutes. Would that be okay? Can you wait around the airport that long? Have you got other stuff going?
I think we can wait. Would you going to wait, Andy?
You might want to tell them what else is going to be in the air, because it's not just going to be the B-25.
We're going to take the B-25 up, and we're going to escort it with a Corsair, a P-40, a P-51, and a Japanese Zero.
Oh, we saw him sitting out there. Oh man, that's beautiful.
So you guys will be able to sit in the airplanes and look at the rest of the airplanes in formation.
Yeah, see that? Of course, Sarah had the same engine that we had in the Thunderbolt.
Yep.
That's a hell of an engine.
Yeah, Survivor.
Yeah.
It'll bring you home with some damage. That's for sure.
Engine.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Walter. Did you even get a chance to shoot at a Japanese Zero?
Not really. No, they pretty well have them cleaned out.
Yeah.
By the time we got over there.
You might have a chance tonight. We need to take a quick break, but when we come back, Herb and Walt will take to the skies. This is truly a moment you don't want to miss. Stay tuned.
Supporting peace the old-fashioned way. This is Warbird Radio. Tune in. Take off.
Welcome back. We're talking to the Stachler brothers, both World War II vets, Herb, a P-47 pilot, and Walt, a B-25 tail gunner. Both men are about to take the flight of their lifetime on board Betty's Dream, the Texas Flying Legends Museum's B-25. Well, now, at least that's what they think. Listen in now as we really surprise Herb with something he'll never forget.
You want to go look at the Mustang?
Yeah.
Let's go look at it.
Okay.
B-25's all the way down there. What do you think of all this, Herbie?
Man, oh man, I mean, this is a dream come true.
Here's Casey Odegaard. This is a guy you should meet. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
He was P-47.
Oh, wait a minute, I think I saw your dad in there, wasn't it, too?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's walk over and look.
Come over and look at this Mustang.
You flew alongside some of these, didn't you?
You fly along the Mustang?
Well, I was in a formation one time with a P-38 and a Mustang and had a big P-47.
Yeah.
You always liked the P-51, though, didn't you?
Well, I like the P Thunderbolt better.
But pretty sexy airplane.
Well, I mean, because we could take a hit, and keep on flying.
Yeah.
Well,
Hell, in that thing here, you get a hit and you were dead.
Herb, we asked you to escort your brother today. We don't have a P-47, but would you settle for a P-51?
Oh, hell yes. I mean, anything if I can get off the ground.
Yeah.
Well, Warren would like you to fly it.
Instead of going in the B-25, when I said escort your brother, we meant for Casey and you to go fly the P-51 tonight. And be
Oh, my God.
How would that be?
Gee, man, nice. I can't believe this.
So we're going to turn you over to Casey, and he's going to brief you on the airplane and brief you on the trip and get you loaded up in here so you can get a headset on and get the straps on so you're ready to go. And I don't know that you'll have a chance to fly it because we're going to be in formation a whole bunch, but there is a stick and rudder pedal.
Well, now he doesn't have to sit on my lap, does he?
Yeah. I noticed it was him sitting on your lap, not you sitting on his. I don't know how smart that was on your part.
Now, Herb, I got to ask you this.
Okay.
You see all these people over here?
Yeah.
You must be a pretty special fella, huh?
Well, how you know, Pete?
Good to see you.
Look at all these people out here to see you today.
Oh my God, I can't believe this.
What are you thinking about right now?
Well, I never dreamed of it. I mean, you guys are just out of this world. I could brag for the rest of my life if it lasts long enough.
Yeah.
No, I just thank God every night that my health is good, that I can, even get out and get around. Because so many of my buddies, they can't do anything like I've been doing. And then when I got acquainted with, of course, Andy and Susan there at the airport too, boy, that was just another part of my life. It just made it more complete. So I wasn't bored to death at all. I mean,
Awesome.
I just can't thank everybody enough.
Why don't we go get you strapped in, huh?
Well,
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go get a ladder, I think.
Oh my God, I can't believe
There's a back
it.
seat in your airplane, Herb. So.
Oh, okay then. Yeah.
Before long, both Herb and Walt were in the air. The sky over Urbana, Ohio was truly magical that evening. Just imagine a perfect sunset, then add in two B-25s, a P-40, a Corsair, a Mustang, and a real Japanese Zero. That was our flight. Absolutely an amazing experience, especially since Herb and Walt were on board. It's hard to believe, but the flight lasted nearly an hour, but it only felt like minutes. Before long, the chalks were in, and we had a very important toast to attend.
Hey, Herb,
What? Hey,
you look good up there.
Oh God, I tell you.
What a beautiful night to fly, huh?
Oh God, I mean, I was thinking about the 25, where am I going to sit and all that. Then you pull this trick on me. God, no, I couldn't have.
Yeah.
I couldn't have wished for anything any better.
Our pleasure. And thank you.
Oh, God, I thank you so very, very much.
You want to go see your brother?
Yeah, where is he right now?
Well, he didn't get shot down. I got the good news for you. He made it back. Let's go
I think
find
he's
him.
got insurance.
Yeah, well, let's go find him.
While we walked over to try and find Walt, I ran into two of Herb's sons and Sophie, Herb's honorary granddaughter, who were all on board Panchito with me. Here's what they had to say about the experience.
I can't even believe seeing him up in the air. I've seen so many pictures of him up in the air, and not actually see him there, and couldn't see a bigger smile on his face.
Isn't that incredible?
It's totally incredible.
To fly with all these other airplanes?
I know. My brother and I were sitting there acting like we were on the guns and all that kind of stuff. It's a dream come true for sure.
What'd you think, Sophie?
It was awesome.
Yeah? You had a big smile.
Yeah, that was.
Before long, we finally caught up with Walt, and he had a smile on his face that was a mile long.
How was it?
Oh, beautiful.
Did you see Herb out there?
Yeah, I waved at him.
You have some old memories there, huh?
Yeah, oh boy. That's the first time I've been a B-25 since I got out of the service.
And the last time, you didn't get to land.
No. No.
Well, look who's over here. I think you got a fighter pilot wants to see you.
Did you see me down in that fighter?
Yeah, I waved
Yeah, I
at you.
waved too. Oh, God, that was a tremendous thrill.
So which one of you shot down the Zero?
No, I'm afraid we
Well, I
can do
didn't-
that.
Well, the pilot didn't give me any guns to shoot with.
You got anything you want to say to everybody that's here today?
Well, I want to thank everybody and all of you guys that made this possible for us, because this is a dream I think I'll have the rest of my life. And I can brag to more people now than I ever did.
All right.
Yeah, I never dreamed I'd be back to do a B-25 again
Yeah.
after bailing out of one.
Right. Well, how about a round of applause for Herb and Walter today? What a job.
So thank you, guys. Thank you very, very, very much.
And now the important stuff. Remember that toast that Walt was owed? Well, the guys at Texas Flying Legends are truly first class. Within minutes, Warren Peach and the rest of his team had the good stuff out, along with 2 special glasses. And the rest is history.
Gentlemen, I'm going to give you a shot here. How's that look? Is that enough, or you want the whole thing?
I think that's good.
All right. We should get a picture of this, I think. And,
I want to drink this toast to all of you guys here that showed us one hell of a time here. And it's been something I'll remember all my life. So
Cheers.
To your health.
Cheers.
What kind of whiskey was it?
Crown Royal Black.
Oh my God. Wow. The good stuff. Boy, ain't nothing cheap about these guys.
There's no way to put into words what this experience was really like. Since the flight, Herb's called me at least 3 times to say thank you. The work that the folks at the Texas Flying Legends Museum are doing is truly commendable. Just to think, to fly a P-51 from Texas to Ohio to give a vet a ride is absolutely unheard of. These folks are truly first class, and from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you for a job well done. For pictures, and I should say stunning images from world-class photographer Mr. Robert Seal, who was kind enough to come along and work his magic, just take a look at the image gallery in this show's story. I think you'll truly be amazed. And additionally, there's a video that we took from the flight. It's all right there at warbirdradio.com. Talk to you next time, and thanks again for listening.